Here it is. It's what you have all been waiting for. The Bahamas Bowl, Miami of Ohio. Against UAB. Hey, Trojan man. Southern Cal under Lincoln Riley has peaked. I know this is probably a hard truth for Southern Cal fans to hear, but it's a truth nonetheless. Fans are forever optimistic, right? And y'all had a good year this year. I mean, I'm not trying to say Southern Cal is bad or had a bad team. I'm not even trying to say Lincoln Riley is a bad coach. But this is as far as he gets. And, a lot of people tried telling y'all that when you hired him. I wasn't so sure. I gave Lincoln Riley the benefit of the doubt. I said, he was at Oklahoma long enough. A lot of times change the scenery, do somebody good. I'm sure he learned his lessons from there. But then he brought Alex Grinch with him, the same defensive coordinator he had at Oklahoma. Brought him to Southern Cal. And look, there's going to be some people that want to point out stats or things like that in this video about total defense or scoring defense or rush yards allowed or pass yards allowed. I don't care about any of that. When it comes to a Lincoln Riley team, I don't care about any of that. I'm just telling you right now, so post away. In my opinion, the only stat that means anything at all to me about Lincoln Riley's team from this past season, defensively in particular, is the turnover margin. Their turnover margin was unbelievable. Plus 22. Now, I don't know how many of you track turnover margin year to year over college football, but a plus 22 turnover margin over the course of a season is unbelievably good. That is amazing. They only had 6 turnovers all year. So they didn't turn the ball over, and they created a ton of takeaways, interceptions, and fumbles. That's great. That's not a knock on the defense at all. If anything, like I said, to me, that's the most important stat. But why is it so important? That's not a repeatable stat. That's not a that's not a staple of a great defense. It's not arbitrary, but it's not repeatable. The next closest team in college football this year had a plus 14 turnover margin. That's huge. Southern Cal had 50% more, a 50% better turnover margin than the second best team in all of college football. That's not happening on a yearly or a consistent basis. It's not. You know what is happening on a yearly and a consistent basis for Lincoln Riley coach teams? Piss poor tackling, piss poor defensive fundamentals, players out of position, soft defensive mentality, and an underwhelming talent level defensively. This is not a one-year problem. Southern Cal fans are going to look at this. Look, we watched this happen in real time at Oklahoma for 4 or 5 years in a row under Lincoln Riley. There is absolutely nothing surprising, good or bad, about what Lincoln Riley did at Southern Cal this year. It is literally the exact same thing we saw him do at Oklahoma every single year. What is that? One of the best offenses in all of college football. A Heisman caliber quarterback on offense, right? And a defense that is going to cost you at the end of your season. Period. And for the Southern Cal fans can yell and hoot and holler and scream till they're blue in the face about how, well, this was just the first year. It's going to improve the next year. Are there any Oklahoma fans watching that want to chime in on that mindset down below in the comments section? Because y'all learned a very painful lesson, didn't you, Wagon Man? Yes, you did. Southern Cal fans are currently saying the exact same things that Oklahoma fans found themselves saying every offseason for 5 years in a row. This is the year that Lincoln Riley is going to get it figured out defensively. He's finally going to start taking defense seriously. He's finally going to realize that to get to the top of the mountain and knock off the good guys or whoever happens to be on the top of that mountain in any given year, you actually have to play football on both sides of the ball. He's going to get it turned around. No, he's not. This is not a one-year problem. It's a one-year problem at Southern Cal. This is a 6-year problem for Lincoln Riley. He doesn't care. He doesn't care. If he cared, he wouldn't have brought Alex Grinch with him from Oklahoma. Did you watch the Pac-12 title game? That was the same defensive performance I have seen from Lincoln Riley in every major postseason game he's played. Yes, he won the Big 12 several years and made the playoffs several years at Oklahoma. We get that. We understand that. He ain't winning nothing else. It's not happening. The guy went to the playoffs a million years in a row and lost in the first round every single year. Nary a playoff win. Not one. 0. He didn't even have one. He had 0. Not one playoff win. And that's not changing at Oklahoma. Now, depending on the circumstances year to year, which is only one more year in the Pac-12, could he win the Pac-12 next year? In which case, Lincoln Riley will not have reached his peak this year at Southern Cal. Is it possible Lincoln Riley wins the Pac-12 next year with Caleb Williams returning? It's possible, but it's not likely. It's not likely. You know what is likely? If he wins the Pac-12, it will be the last game he wins of the season. That's a definite. If he goes 11-1 and wins the Pac-12, which would put him 12-1, or hell, maybe he'll go 13-0. In any case, if he finds himself in the 4-team playoff next year, guess what's going to happen? He's going to lose. And it doesn't matter who he plays. I have no idea who's making the playoffs next year in college football. No clue. But I know it don't matter in terms of a matchup with Southern Cal because they're going to lose. Because they're not going to tackle. They're not going to get lined up properly defensively. They're going to be out of position. They're going to miss tackles. They're going to get juked. They're going to slide off of running backs and wide receivers. And they're going to embarrass themselves defensively because that's what Lincoln Riley does. That's who Lincoln Riley is. You should have known that when you hired him. There cannot be a Southern Cal fan watching this video who watched Southern Cal this season and was surprised at what they saw defensively. There can't be one. The only thing you might be surprised about, like I said, is the turnover margin. And the reason that stat is so important to me is because they were so good at it this year. Again, plus 22 in the turnover margin. The next closest team in the country was plus 14. That is not repeatable. That's not repeatable. What is Southern Cal's record this year if they have even an average turnover margin instead of the best in a long time at plus 22? Well, you'd have lost to Oregon State. You'd have a couple more losses. And that's kind of the point. That's why that's the only stat that I care about when I look at Southern Cal defensively. We know who Lincoln Riley is. He doesn't, it is what it is. And then what happens after next year? 2 things. Number 1, playoff expand to 12 teams. That's great news for a team like Southern Cal or any Lincoln Riley team. Gives them a modicum of hope to get into a playoff. But what else happens? You're moving to the Big Ten. Boy, the days of 0 or 1 loss regular seasons are over for the Trojan, man. I'll tell you that right now. USC in the Big Ten, a baby soft Kleenex Charmin triple ply friggin' mushed peas, baby food, soft as shit Lincoln Riley defense in the Big Ten? Shit! 500. 500. Boy, I can listen. Boy, you put Southern Cal to Big Ten this year. Oh my God. Well, Ohio State, Penn State, Michigan, Iowa maybe, Purdue, Minnesota. My God, there's so many losses lined up for Lincoln Riley when Southern Cal gets in the Big Ten. You can't even count them all with that defense they got. They don't even, actually, doesn't have anything to do with the defense they have because they don't have a defense. That's the problem. Oh, man. Trojan man. Great year. Great year. Runner up in the Pac-12. The worst conference on planet Earth. Man, Lincoln Riley. You knew what you were getting.